Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome back to the Scotty Gamer channel. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we will be, of course, talking about the World Cup, which arguably could be one of the best World Cups we've ever seen, okay? But before we talk about the knockouts, we of course need to talk about the group stage. So sorry, just need to make sure my mic is right, okay? Just need to make sure my mic is right. So, yeah, anyway, lads. Anyway. But as I say, before we can talk about the group stages, ladies and gentlemen, as I say, sorry, just having a bit of trouble with the microphone, but here we go. We've got a good space for it now. Anyway, before we talk about the knockout stages, we need to talk about the group stage. Now, I know the knockout stage is already happening. However, I've told you in my previous video, due to preoccupations that I've had before this, I haven't been able to record anything regarding the group stage, but that ends now, ladies and gentlemen, because this is Scotty Gamer's group stage recap, World Cup 2026. Okay, so lads, we start off with the following game. Okay, we start off with this game right here. We start off with Mexico facing South Africa on the 11th of June, okay? And my word, what a game to kick off this World Cup. What an absolute banger to kick off this World Cup. As a neutral anyway. 3 red cards, great goals from the Mexicans, and yeah, obviously, in Mexico City as well. So the atmosphere, of course, was electric. Even though I wasn't sure, I'm not sure if it was in Monterrey or in Mexico City, one of the two. Anyway, I just want to say that the 3 red cards were absolute red cards, especially because 2 of them were 2 dogzos. In case you do not know what a dogzo is, a dogzo, by the definition of the football law, is a denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. But, yeah, obviously, as I say, the red cards are completely justified. As I say, 2 denied a certain goal, and the third one, there was no ball in play. So, you know what? That is fair enough, okay? The first goal by Quiñones, excuse me, Quiñones had great awareness of the game, considering the fact South Africa, had a mistake in them in the defence. And then the second goal, obviously, from Raul Jimenez. The cross is absolutely amazing. The cross is class. And then Jimenez, just buds it home with his head. And, yeah, so that was a good and confident step by Mexico to qualify for the knockout stages. South Africa on the night they didn't offer anything. They did not offer anything at all. There was no sort of, attacking guile about them. There was nothing really. There was absolutely nothing. The game was entirely Mexico, and that's why the South Americans deserved to go through and start off the World Cup campaign with a win, okay? Now, before we move on here, lads, I want to say I only want to react to the games that I watched, or at least partly watched, due to the time difference, and that I haven't been able to watch all of them, of course, and I want to give you my fair and honest opinion. Now, South Korea versus Czechia, I didn't really see all of it. All I can say is, great goals by South Korea. With was it Lee Kang-in with the absolute, with the turn of the century where he sends like two Czechian players to the shops. It was an absolutely amazing turn, and an amazing goal. And obviously the Czechs with confident over set pieces are due to the fact that they've got big players. Czechia gets one back after a corner with a lovely header, and I think this ultimately, this scoreline was deserved. Okay? But now, ladies and gentlemen, we move on. Okay? We move on to Canada versus Bosnia. And I tell you what, there are several things to discuss in this one. Because this game was so utterly annoying. Because I'll tell you one thing, guys. Damn, I did not know Canada can play ball like that. Canada were doing bits, Canada, I was pleasantly surprised by Canada and how well they were able to perform. However, the fact that it was an annoying game stems because Canada had so many chances, and they just couldn't take them. They could not do it. And it was so annoying because there was one chance where Jonathan David was clean through, Canada were dominating the ball and they just could not push the ball in the back of the net. And as a neutral watching, I was getting quite wound up because I was like, these flipping gumbays can't, these flipping idiots cannot finish chances to save their lives. And then obviously, the Bosnians come back with another set piece, and I think in this tournament set pieces are going to be of vital importance. But it's a great header, and then Canada and Bosnia draw 1-1. But as I say, it was a really annoying game. Canada did manage to score one, but they should have won this game by a country mile, to be honest. So yeah, as I say, quite annoying from a mutual point of view. Right. Now we move on from Montreal. We move to the United States, right? America, Paraguay. Now, this was absolute class. Absolutely amazing. And I tell you what, folks, I'll be damned. I did not know the U.S. can pull up and play ball like this, y'all. I really didn't know that, boy. But Mauricio Pochettino has got him playing ball like I haven't seen in my lifetime anyway, So, maybe U.S. fans can help me out. Maybe you U.S. fans remember, the soccer men's national team playing well in the 1994 World Cup, but damn, I did not know these guys could play ball like this, y'all. I really did not know these guys could play ball like this. Sorry. Anyways, sorry. Got a bit carried away there, but wow. what America are doing is utterly insane. I mean, we start off with Michael Balogun. Florian Balogun, right? I thought his name was Michael for some reason. Anyway, we start off with Florian Balogun in the 7th minute, and I'll tell you what, that goal was just pure force. You know, just pure force and willpower. You know, great running behind from Balogun, and then he, as I say, with his will, just pokes it into the net, and you know. So yeah. Oh, sorry. The first goal actually. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah. But, hold on. The first goal actually came from somebody else. Apologies. Yeah. That was a great goal, of course. But as I say, Balogun for the second and third, it was just pure willpower. And then Gio Reyna tops off a wonderful performance with a wonderful goal with the outside of his foot. And as I say, I'll be damned, boys, but I did not know you guys can play ball like that, y'all. Really. No, but it was a great game, a surprising game from my point of view, because I did not expect the US to rock up like that and just play the way they did. So congrats to them. Shout out Paraguay, who did get a goal as well. But ultimately the US absolutely carved them open. So respect for that. Now we move on to Switzerland, who played Qatar. And, you know, in football there's this saying where you go, hey, if you don't score them at the front, you concede them at the back. And that's precisely what happened. Because Switzerland dominated the ball, right? And one player who I liked especially in this game was Johan Mansambi. He was amazing. I like him a lot this tournament. I think he's really burst onto the scene. Yeah, as I say, I've grown to like him, right? But the chances that Switzerland had and wasted, it was devastating. But then you have Qatar, right? Qatar, who accumulated their first point ever in a World Cup, and I'll tell you what, just for the scripting, it was deserved. You know, because as I say, if you don't score them at the front, you'll get them at the back, and that's precisely what happened. 90th minute header. You know, the Swiss just couldn't get towards the Qataris on the corner, and yeah, ultimately, it's a deserved equaliser, because fact of the matter is that Switzerland just didn't take their chances. And so it ends Qatar 1, Switzerland 1, which in my opinion was deserved during the night, okay? So now we move from Switzerland to Brazil, because Switzerland took on Morocco in the first game of the tournament, and I tell you what, it was a weak display. It was a weak display from Brazil. It was definitely not up to par. You know, of course, all the Brazilian legends were there, and as much as this hurts me, I was talking to a friend of mine, and we both said that, you know, we didn't expect more from Brazil. As much as this pains me, because people from 20 years ago or so will tell you how great, how stacked Brazil were, right? You know, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Kaká, you know, Cafu, Roberto Carlos, you know, and it was just very, very disappointing from Brazil. Like, given the magnitude of this game, I expected a lot more. Okay, but as I say, ultimately it was just weak from Brazil. Luckily, Vinicius Junior helps out the Brazilians to, to at least get a goal. But ultimately, very, very weak from Brazil. But if we go to the other side, if we go to Morocco, wow. Honestly, I think they might be once again one of the, surprise nations, or one of the dark horses in this World Cup. Because I tell you what. Sorry, just slightly adjusting my mic again. I tell you what they showed, like, they gave Brazil a proper run for their money. A proper run for their money. And that finish from Saibari, that cheeky chip over the top of Alisson, absolutely world class. And you can see why Bayern, who I'm ironically rocking the jersey of today, shout out to the Allianz Arena because I was already there. Check out my stadium vlog if you haven't done so already. But you can see why Bayern have gone for Johan Mansambi and have not Johan Mansambi, apologies. Ismaila Saibari. Absolutely world class finish. And to be honest, it was a deserved result. If not, Morocco would have deserved a second, because, as I say, they were prepared to run, they were prepared to fight, they were prepared to work. But, ultimately, I still think it's a fair result at the end of the day. So, yeah, but as I say, weak from Brazil, but an absolute amazing finish from Saibari, and a great finish from Vini as well, may I add. So, yeah, as I say, fair result to start off their campaign for both Brazil and Morocco, and they start the campaign with a point apiece. Now we move on, okay? I did actually watch Scotland Haiti, because the truth is, it was very, very late, and I'd already watched Morocco Brazil, and I just couldn't stay up any longer. But it was a good goal from John McGinn, and Haiti actually defended pretty well, but Sir John McGinn helped Scotland to snatch a 1-0 win over Haiti, so that is that regarding the Scotland game. Now we move on to Turkey as they took on Australia. And I tell you what, boys, I expected a lot of things when this matchup was made, but not for the Socceroos to win 2-0. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a classic footballing case of efficiency. Because, honestly, if we're being honest with ourselves, anybody who watched the game can say that Turkey dominated. Turkey dominated. I mean, if we look at the stats here, total shots 30-9. 30-9. See, so you can actually see if we go down to the stats here, right? Total shots 30-9, right? A few of them came from outside the box. Then you got shots on target 8-4. That was actually more balanced than I thought it would be. Hold on, there we go. And then, you've got things like shots inside the box 14-6. And as I say, the truth is, Turkey dominated, but it was two clean counterattacks played by the Socceroos that gave them the win, and ultimately it was deserved because, as I say, you need not only to have the stats to win, you need to have the efficiency to win, and that's what the Australians had against Turkey. So, well done. Well done. Right, ladies and gentlemen, now we move on to the highest scoring game of the World Cup so far. We've got Germany playing Curacao, okay? Germany, Curacao, and honestly, first off, I need to give a shout out to Curacao. Curacao were amazing. They ran, they pressed, they did everything right, okay? Well, almost, right? And then you've obviously got the after 6 minutes, Felix Mecha fires home a great strike from outside the box. But as I say, ultimately, I like Curaçao's performance. I like Curaçao's performance because they played with heart and they played with grit, and the Germans had a hard time. Even though it says that Mecha and Schlotterbeck scored in total after 38 minutes, if you watched the game, you would have noticed that Germany actually had a hard time against Curaçao. Now, I think the penalty absolutely deflated Curaçao because, in my opinion, that penalty shouldn't have stood. That penalty really shouldn't have stood. Due to the fact it was very soft and I don't know who got fouled. I think it was Musiala. Musiala carries on the movement in the box before falling, and that, in my opinion, should not be a penalty. And I ultimately think that Germany did not deserve to win with the scoreline that they did. But as I say, ultimately I was very impressed with Curaçao. They played with heart, they played with grit, they played with determination. So shout out to them. And so Germany win 7-1. Deja vu for the Brazilians. But ultimately, as I say, I don't think they should have. The scoreline shouldn't have been as high as it was. So, right. Now, we move on. Okay? We carry on down the table. Right? We carry on down the table. We carry on down the table. we carry on down the table. Right. So, here we go. Now we've come to Netherlands versus Japan, okay? Netherlands versus Japan. And I actually stayed up for this game. And yeah, I know it started at like midnight, but I still watched it. And honestly, it was a good game. It was a really, really good game and a fair result. Van Dijk scoring off a header after a corner in typical Van Dijk fashion. And then you had Crescencio Somerville, the West Ham winger, scoring a good goal as well. But one thing I did notice about the Japanese, they could run for days. They could run for days. They were aggressive in their pressing. Their counter-attack was lethal, and they were compact. They were really, really compact, and the Netherlands really had their trouble getting through them, okay? And ultimately, I think at the end of the day, it was a fair result, you know. One goal coming from Kamada, and the other goal coming from Nakamura. Kamada in the 89th minute. But as I say, it might be heartbreaking for the Dutch, but it was a fair result. Japanese were good, they were compact, and yeah, you know. But it was a really, really good game to watch as a neutral. So, if we move on here, I did not really watch Ivory Coast take on Ecuador, so I can't really say anything about that. Sweden, Tunisia was a goal fest. 5-1, of course. You know, with Gyökeres and Isaac both scoring, and Hannibal scoring as well. It was a great goal from Hannibal, to be fair. But so 5-1 for the Swedes. Great start for them, and it was a good game to watch, judging by the highlights. Anyway, now we carry on, okay, to the perhaps most surprising game of the tournament by that point. Spain playing Cape Verde. Spain-Cape Verde, okay? Bearing in mind, Lamine Yamal did not play this game. And you could really notice his absence. Spain had no creativity. Spain had no fluidity. They were not dangerous. And Cape Verde really, really did well in their low block, and they had a couple chances as well. But ultimately, Spain did not do enough, and disappointing, very, very disappointing, considering they're supposed to be one of the favourites to win the whole thing. But as I say, you could really notice the absence of Lamine Yamal, and a shout out to Cape Verde, who managed to keep Spain at bay. Well done. Okay, really well done. Shout out Cape Verde. Right, if we now carry on. So, if we now carry on. If we now carry on, here we go. Uh, we have now come to Belgium, Egypt, right? Belgium, Egypt. It was a you know it was an even matchup. I think it was a very very even matchup. You know, Belgium maybe arguably got lucky with their own goal, but I think it was all down to Super Sub Lukaku. Really, really nicely done, really nicely worked, and yeah, I think given the juncture of the game, Belgium actually deserved to equalise. But Egypt, man, Egypt played really well. That goal, after 20 minutes, was amazing. Mo Salah, of course, with the assist outside the box. Bottom left hand corner, really, really nicely done, and a fair result. At the end of the day, and I've noticed I've said that a lot, but it really was another very good game to watch. Now we carry on. Now Uruguay, Saudi Arabia. Again, was a good game judging by the highlights, but I didn't really watch it, so because it was very, very late. So yeah, but from what I saw, it was a good game, and each of Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay started their campaign off with a point. New Zealand, Iran is another one I didn't really watch because again it was very late. But from what I saw from the highlights, very very good and very end-to-end game. But now this one here, ladies and gentlemen. Now I want to talk about this because on paper, Mbappe scored all the goals. On paper, Mbappe, carried them, scored a brace, la-di-da-di-da. But the player I want to focus on in this one is Michael Olise. Michael Olise. Wow. Wow. Absolutely impressive. Absolutely amazing. As I say, I know Mbappe scored the goals, right? But the passes, the vision, the flair that Michael Olise has and had in this game, absolutely amazing. Both goals from Kylian Mbappe come from an Olise pass. You might as well have thought that it was Kevin De Bruyne playing. Olise was a mix between Ronaldinho and Kevin De Bruyne. I'm not joking. The passes from Michael Olise were absolutely class. Or the one pass anyway, because the second goal was good. I'll come to that in a second. It was Barcola who Olise assisted. Apologies. But as I say, Michael Olise in this game was absolutely world class and absolutely amazing. And I think he has the chance to become, if he's not already, a very, very special player. And I don't think he's even hit his prime yet. So, boys, get ready, because if everything goes to plan, we can witness a hell of a player in Michael Olise. But it was really, really good. Really, really good display. Obviously, Mbappe, great goals. Bacola there as well. But then you've got Senegal, who did actually come back in the 90th. In the 90th minute, right? Where you did actually think that Senegal have a chance of equalising this game, but then Mbappe, after the kickoff, looked around and went, nope. Do you know who you're dealing with? Kylian Mbappe. And then he slams one in from 25 yards. Absolutely amazing goal. And Mbappe's world class. This may come to a surprise for nobody, but truth is, Kylian Mbappe is truly, truly world class. And that obviously put the game to bed. But Michael Olise, what a performance! Mbappe, great goals, but Michael Olise, Barcola obviously scored as well, but Michael Olise, what a performance and what a player. And France start their campaign off positive as they win 3-1 against Senegal. Okay. Now we move on to Norway-Iraq. Again, I didn't really see this game. But can we talk about the beast that Erling Haaland is? World Cup debut, slams in 2 goals straight away. Absolutely lethal, absolutely amazing striker. And Norway might have a golden generation on their hands here. I'm not going to lie to you. I am not going to lie to you. But it was a good game as far as I saw on catch up. And again, Erling Haaland is just a beast. One game, 2 goals, and Norway beat Iraq 4-1. Right. But then we got this game here. This game right here. Okay. And oh my life. For people that say Lionel Messi is finished, I think he's just proven all the critics wrong. I am not going to lie to you. I think he's just proven all the critics wrong. With that performance. And oh my god, listen. I don't know if it was the first or second goal. Right? But there was this goal he scored where Algeria gave him far too much space and he slams it into the top right hand corner. It was absolutely amazing to watch, and I think the best, if not one of the best goals of the tournament so far. And truth is, you can't give Lionel Messi so much space. And once again, at the age of 39, this World Cup is turning out to be the Lionel Messi show. Not the Muppet show, not the Looney Tunes show, the Lionel Messi show, okay? And the guy is just absolutely amazing. The guy is absolutely class. Kicks off with a hat trick against Algeria, and carries his country on his back. So, business as usual for Lionel Messi and Argentina. But honestly, that guy is an absolute force of nature and just a bundle of pure talent. Shout out Lionel Messi and shout out Argentina for winning 3-0 against Algeria. Right, lads. Now, I know the next game on the list would be listen, Okay, got that. Listen, lads. Okay, cut that. Listen, lads. I know the next game on the list will be Austria playing Algeria, but the truth is, I am going to actually do a own video for that match reaction, because I want to break the entire game down. And yeah, so when it comes to the nations, to my nations, so Austria and England, I want to do separate videos regarding their match reactions. So stay tuned to that. Subscribe to my channel, and turn on all the post notifications and that, so you guys don't miss any World Cup content or any match reactions. Okay. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. But don't worry, I've still got plenty of games for you to react to. You'll just have to wait a bit longer for the Austria and England games / match reactions. Now, if we go on, we've got this game right here. Portugal, Congo. Okay? And tell you the truth, Portugal were far too passive. I don't know what's happened to my captain. I don't know what's happened to Bruno Fernandes. But, he's not making those line-breaking passes, Is it because Ronaldo's in front of him, and because Ronaldo is in the positions that Bruno is in? I don't know. I really don't know. But truth is, Portugal were far too passive. Portugal didn't do enough. Portugal didn't move the ball quickly enough. Portugal just looked off the pace, to be honest, off the pace. And Ronaldo had a couple chances which younger Ronaldo would have buried. But due to his oncoming in age, of course, he of course, struggles with that a little bit, okay? But, yeah, so, ultimately, as I say, Portugal look far off the pace. Congo, with the header after a corner, it was just deserved. It was very, very deserved. It was well played, good delivery, good header, and to be honest, as I say, considering how Portugal played, they were lucky to get away with the draw. All I'm saying. As I say, Croatia, England, we will do later on, and Ghana, Panama, I did not really watch, and Colombia, Uzbekistan, honestly, I didn't watch either, so I can't really give you my thoughts on those two games. But ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm gonna wrap up this video. I think I'm gonna divide the group stage recap into like 3 parts, because otherwise the entire video would be like 2 hours long. It's already long enough as it is, but stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because we are just getting started when it comes to World Cup content, okay? But of course, I am here. Your boy Scotty Gamer is here to provide you with all the content around the World Cup. So stay tuned for that and buckle yourselves in, because this is only the start of what is to be an amazing month of football and an amazing month of content. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and turn on the post notifications and hype the video as well, as it pushes the algorithm to new heights, okay? But as I say, I will be back shortly with part 2 of the group stage recap. And with that, I'm saying thank you very much for watching. Scotty out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.